Welcome to Fitch Painting Repairs Garage. Today's project continuing on with the GL 1500 carburetor project. We've got the carburetors pulled out, pulled apart, disassembled, and cleaned. And what we found was over here, I got the cables attached, but they're not hooked up yet. This slide over here was stuck in this carburetor. The carburetors had a little bit of tarnish in them. Hopefully all the cleaning will solve the issue and we'll put it back together. Now what we have to deal with right now is down in here. You guys can see there's a couple coolant lines. I got these long bolts down in these coolant lines right here. They attach to this plate down here. Excuse me. I got this cable hooked up and this cable hooked up here. But these two ports right here, there's a plate with a tube that runs on the bottom of the carburetor that has coolant that runs through it. And then down under there, we got to get them vacuum lines hooked up, crankcase breathers and all that stuff. That's got to be pulled up out of there and get ready to hook up to the airbox. We'll get all that stuff hooked up here in just a little bit, and hopefully this will solve the problem that we're having with this bike. The problem was, of course, it was not wanting to idle above or rev up above 1500 RPMs until the bike was really warm, and then it just barely would idle up a little bit, and eventually after doing some cleaning on it and charging of the battery, we got it to run a little better, was able to engage the enricher all the way, and that was allowing us to ride it, but it was surging. And when it was just idling, what was happening was when you would set the idle, around that 1100 mark, and then you drop it in gear, it would boom, bog it down and idle it really low. And if the bike wasn't warm and the enricher on and all that, it would just kill the bike. It'd shut it off. So what you would have to do is idle it up to about 1500 RPMs. And then when you drop it in gear, then it would idle down to about 900 or so. So we're hoping that was just a loose vacuum or something. Maybe it was leaking at the boot that attaches to the intake manifold, or possibly just one of those many vacuum lines that are hooked up to the system was just leaking slightly. So we're gone through, we cleaned the carburetor, we'll reassemble it. We had to stop because you need a set of these 90-degree needle nose pliers to reach down in there to get those coolant lines, and also the front crankcase breather hose, which is down in here as well, right down there. That hooks up to the airbox, but these two lines here hook up to the bottom of the carburetor, and then these lines hook up, and all that. So there's a lot to remove and reassemble on this machine to do basic maintenance on it, just to do spark plugs, air filter, oil change. You gotta remove quite a bit of stuff just to get to it. So what we're at and where we're at with this machine, because it is not my machine, it's a customer's machine, and we are going to reassemble it, paying very close attention to all the intakes, the boots, the vacuum lines, the fuel lines, making sure that we're not having a problem, reassemble it correctly, and then fire the bike up and run it. If the bike is running better, that'd be great. If it's corrected the problem, perfect. But our plan is to reassemble the machine back to full assembly and then test ride the bike. If the bike has been fixed and solved, all that, great. Then we'll call the customer and we'll schedule an appointment to return it and settle up with any amount that is owed. But on a machine like this, you got to put a deposit down. So right now we're not above the deposit. We're right there at it right now. If I encounter any other issues, then of course I'll have to charge some more. I'm not going to tell you guys what I charge for this. You'll have to talk to me in person in regards to that. But what I will tell you is, until I educate myself considerably more in regards to the Honda Goldwing specific problems and procedures, and have a full shop manual and all that stuff for this particular type of bike, I will not be working on another one. So what we're at is this machine will go back together, and if it is in the same condition that it was when I picked the bike up, then it'll be a minimal diagnostics fee that I'll charge, even though I did do the cleaning and I went through and disassembled the carburetors and reassembled them and everything with the cleaning, and there was something that I had to change at some point. I forget what it was. You know, some minor little hose, but I won't be working on any more of these because of just how much is involved in them. You know, this is a 30-year-old machine. The plastics alone that you got to remove off of this is a deterrent. You know, because man, you break one little tab on that stuff. You know, you cannot get these, and they're all color matched specific to the bikes. So you're hunting for a long time if you break something. You know, you better be very careful and educate yourself in regards to this machine before you ever touch it. Thinking, hey, I'm mechanically inclined, I'm a good mechanic, you know, hey, I can work on just about anything. This one here, it's got too much on it, just way too much for a Harley mechanic. You know, you know, I work on metrics, I work on B twins, but these metric baggers, nope, not without a hefty deposit, you know, and a lot of time. I got to sit on it for a long time. So that means when I take one of these projects, it's the only project I've got for a while because they're so big. They take up so much real estate in my shop. You know, literally, I could put 2 bikes in the space that this one is in. So until we decide what we're going to do with this, hopefully we get this all back together and it solves the problem. But as long as it's running exactly like it was, bare minimum, then it goes back to the customer. Plain and simple. I hate to do that to somebody, but at the same time, you'll be refunded the majority of your deposit, and I'm gonna just charge this guy a simple diagnostics fee if that's the case. You know, I won't charge him for all the labor that I put into it because I didn't solve the problem. Got to be honest with your customers. You know, I'm forthright with them, man. You know, it's a lack of education on my part. You know, I'm not a Honda Goldwing tech, especially a 1990 Honda Goldwing tech. I graduated in 2011. Metrics are part of the training, and I work on metrics because I have metrics in my barn. You know, the Weiss bike, I'm very versed in that. My Honda Shadows, very similar systems on that with a dual carb setup. This one's just got more involved in it. All the stuff that you got to remove, plus everything's operated on vacuum on this. And there's all these pollution servos and, you know, all this stuff down here. You know, you got each one of these is a vacuum line, so if there's a leak on any of these, it could cause your problem. All right, stay tuned.